Nau Punattu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Vadarayanam Sutrabhashya-kritau vande Bhagavantau punah punah. Bhagavat-padebhyah prachina-taranam tat-samakalinanam vam vritti-kritam abhiprayastu bhashya-vartikam anyatarastham paramarsha-matrat anumeyaha natu idanim tadvrittayaha kvapi upalabhyante ityataha bhagavat-padiyam bhashya vimarshanameva tatrapi sharanam sampratiti cha. So, by looking at the Prasthanatraya, we can only have a general knowledge, a general perception that the topic is Atma, Brahma, Ishvara, all right. But how is it the topic, in what way is it conveyed? The method of unfoldment is difficult to figure out through the Shruti without the attached, without the related Sampradaya. That is why it is said, well, Bhashya has to be Praprathamam Parishilaniyam, Bhashyam has to be looked at. Bhashyam is nothing. See, one is Shruti Pramanam. Bhashyam is the method of understanding it. That traditional, that Sampradaya way of, means the right, Sampradaya means the right way, the approach to understanding the Shruti. And just as the Shruti is Anadi, Sampradaya also is Anadi. Shruti is Anadi, Sampradaya also is Anadi. That is why you say Parameshwara is the Karta of the Shastram. Himself is the source of the Shabda Pramanam. Himself as Dakshinamurti is the initiator of Sampradaya. You see, two things. Ishvara is Vedanta-krit, Veda-krit. He is the source of, just as he is the source of the Prapancha, he is the source of Shabda Pramanam. If he can be the source of the Pratyakshadi Pramanam, whoever is the source of the Pratyakshadi Pramanam, himself is the source of the Shabda Pramanam. So, Shastra Yonitvata, that particular sutra is also talking about that. Now, we also say that Sampradaya also says, Dakshinamurti is the, Parameshwara is Dakshinamurti is the initiator of Sampradaya. He is not the writer of Shruti. Dakshinamurti did not write Shruti. Dakshinamurti is Parameshwara himself, as Dakshinamurti is the initiator of Sampradayam. Gotaranadi. The right approach, that's all. Whether it is started by Dakshinamurti or not anything, because once you say Shabda is a Pramana, see, one thing is, it's difficult really to manipulate Shastra. That must be, it's very difficult to manipulate. Why? Because once you say Shabda is a Pramanam, then do you know what happens? Any interpretation of the Shruti which becomes the topic of the Pratyakshadi Pramanam would be invalid. See? So you say Shabda is a Pramanam, then the subject matter of that Pramanam should not be available for Pratyakshadi Pramanas. Like Chakshu Pramana Vishayam, the Rupa is not available for other Pramanas. The subject matter of Shabda Pramanam should not be the Prameya, should not be the subject matter of other Pramanas. Therefore, any interpretation of the Shruti to imply even a little nuance, that becomes the subject matter of the Pratyaksha Anumana would be invalid. I hope I have conveyed this. If you say Shruti Shabda Pramanam means the subject matter of Shabda Pramanam should not be available for Pratyakshadi Pramanas. Up to that it is clear. The subject matter of Shabda Pramanam should not be the Vishaya of Pratyakshadi Pramanas. How much of it should not be the subject matter of the Pratyakshadi Pramanam? Not a little. Understand? Not a little of the Vishaya of the Shabda Pramanam should be the Vishaya of Pratyakshadi Pramanas. Not a little. Therefore, any interpretation of even a nuance, interpreting even a nuance of the subject matter which can be figured out through, which can become the subject matter of, which can become the topic of Pratyakshadi Pramanam would be invalid. Therefore, it is difficult to manipulate. Therefore, the Sampradayam, the approach to understanding the Vastu, is as much true to the Vastu as even Shabda Pramana is true to the Vastu. If Shabda Pramanam is Vastu Tantram, then the Sampradaya, the approach to understanding cannot be something different. That also should be Vastu Tantram. If the subject matter of the Shabda Pramana, the Brahma Vastu, if it is not available for Pratyakshadi Pramanam, any interpretation of the nature of Brahma, even an ounce of it, but available for Pratyakshadi Pramanam would be invalid. Otherwise, because, Pramanam cannot be a partial Pramanam. It has to be the whole form. You can't say a bit of the form is really known through the eyes and a bit of another form is known through the ears. You can't say. Ardha Kukkuta Nyaya doesn't work. Therefore, it is not something, it is not something really, it is it is not something that has to be greatly protected. It is not some identity. Sampradaya is not a problem of keeping the pristine purity of certain identity. It is not the problem of identity, it is a problem of the correctness of the approach. And correctness of the approach is governed by the very nature of the Vastu. The correctness of the approach to understanding the Vastu is governed by the very Vastu. Not that the identity of the Sampradayam has to be protected by, great struggle. That's why I say, even if you leave it like that, for a sane man, well, he understands that the truth is Shabda Pramanam cannot be manipulated. Cannot be manipulated. And therefore, to figure out, once we say Shabda is a Pramanam, then that takes care of everything. Why? Because the Vishaya, the subject matter of the Shabda Pramana should not be the subject matter of any other Pramanams, even in part. In which case, if this Siddhantam is kept in view, then you can see the bluff of all the Vrittikaras, meaning various interpretations. Even though they remain Advaitis, they remain Shastrajñas, they remain within the realm of Vedanta, but yet they try to interpret. In some nuance they make a mistake. All those things can be figured out as bluffs. Why? Because what he arrives at is available for Pratyakshadi Pramanams. Even practice is something, is an action, whether it is a physical action or mental action. Practice is something that is Pratyakshadi Pramana Siddham. Therefore, that cannot be the topic of Vedanta. Therefore, Vedanta is not meant to make you do practice. Why? Abhyasa is what is Abhyasa? Is it what is the Pramana for Abhyasa? Pratyakshadi Pramanam or Shabda Pramanam? Only Pratyaksha is the Pramanam. We don't have to study Vedanta to understand the definition of practice. You don't have to study the Shabda Pramanam to understand the meaning of the word repetition. Is that so? Repetition, everybody understands what is repetition. Karte rahna, bas ek hi baat ko dohrate jana, everybody understands. Therefore, now the topic of Vedanta cannot be some kind of abhyasa, prasankhyanavada, etc. Now, we don't have to dismiss the vada of the abhyasa. Understand, I am telling something very, very important. We don't have to dismiss the prasankhyanavadi on the basis of the non-mention of the word prasankhyanam in the Shastra. Even if there is a word mentioned called practice, it would still not be, it should be interpreted to mean only Vastu Pratipadanam, implying no Abhyasa, because Abhyasa is Pratyakshadi Pramana Vishayam. It is not Vastu Tantra. We don't establish really the correctness of the incorrectness of a given view on the basis of the mention of the words used by that particular paksha or non-mention in the Shruti. That's blind. Even if the word Sankhya is used in Vedanta, that doesn't mean Vedanta is talking Sankhya Siddhanta. Vedanta also talks about Sankhya Siddhantam. This blind, that means what? Just looking at, the words that you are using are used in Shruti, therefore it accepts what you are saying. That is not the way of Shastrartha. The Shastrartham takes place right when you appreciate Shabda as Pramana. Bas. That is the Shubharambha. The moment you appreciate that Shabda is a Pramanam, meaning the subject matter of the Shastra is not available for Pratyaksha, Anumana, Arthapatti, Anupalabdhi, Upamana, Karma, Abhyasa, anything. Why? Because we first of all say, Svatah Pramanam na Paratah Pramanam, that is, a Pramana is indeed a Pramanam not by Vikalpa. A Pramana is a Pramana for a given thing without any Vikalpa. If the validity of a Pramana has to be proved by another Pramana, then the validity of that another pramana has to be proved by yet another pramana leading to regress. Therefore, a pramanam is something that is swataha pramanam. A pramanam is self-pramanam. A pramanam is that which is never validated by another pramanam. And that is for the drishtanta, how just as Shabda pramana doesn't require to be validated by pratyakshadi pramanam. And when it comes to the anubhava, anubhava does not come under one of the pramanas. I say Shabda is a pramanam to unfold what is within anubhava. Within anubhava. Pratyakshadi pramanas are also anyway, they are also unfolding the vishayas which fall within anubhava. They may not be anubhava rupam, but they are not outside anubhava anyway. So the drishtantam is pratyakshadi pramanas, like the eyes reveal the forms. Now whether it is really a form or not, whether it is green or not, whether it is red or not, I don't have to verify it through the ear. What is revealed by the eyes, where do you verify? As regards the form of an object, where do we verify? It's never verified. The sounds heard by the ears are not verified. Even if supposing there is a doubt, they have to be verified again by the ears. It's not really verifying. I did not hear properly, I use it again. I use it again. Therefore, every pramanam is evidently swata pramanam. Every pramanam is swata pramanam. In the same manner, the Vedanta is a Shabda pramanam. Being Shabda pramanam, it is swataha pramanam, na partha pramanam. Therefore, well, if it is pramanam, then once we say that is pramanam, and its pramanyam need not be established through another pramanam, then go by the definition of pramanam. What is the definition of pramanam? Its vishayam should not be available for any other pramanas. Bas. Therefore, not even a bit of the topic of the Shabda pramanam should be the object of any other pramanam. And therefore, the vrittikara matas, like it is both Dvaitam and Advaitam, how can say Brahman is the subject matter of only Shabda pramanam, and if it is Dvaitam, then it becomes Pratyakshadi pramana vishayam. If it is Advaitam, then it say, as Advaitam it is Shabda pramana vishayam, as Dvaitam it is Pratyakshadi pramana vishayam. How can it be the subject matter of Shabda pramana, be the subject matter of both Shabda pramana and Pratyaksha pramana? Because the subject matter of Pratyaksha pramana should be only the subject matter of Pratyaksha pramana. Similarly, the subject matter of Shabda pramana should be only the topic of the Shabda pramana. So if it is Advaitam, then it can't be Dvaitam. If it is Dvaitam, then it is Pratyaksha pramana vishayam. If it is Advaitam, then it is really Anubhava vishayam, as really unfolded by the Shabda, it is Shabda pramana vishayam. Now if you say it is both Dvaitam and Advaitam, then you are creating a problem in the very definition of pramanam. You are creating a problem in the very first, the very basic. It's a problem. Why? Because as Advaitam it is Shabda Pramanakam, as Dvaitam it becomes Pratyaksha Pramanakam. As a noun it is Nirvishesham, and all the objects are all Savishesham. So God is both Nirvishesham and Savishesham. God is one, all right, but qualified by all the world. That also becomes a problem. Which is the pramanam for that? Because two contrary things cannot be the subject matter of the same pramanam. Two vilakshanas cannot be the subject. Two contrary things cannot be the subject matter of the same pramanam. So all these things keeping in view, any Vidwan understands it's not easy to manipulate Shabda Pramana. Itna aasan nahi hai. You can swallow your own manipulation of the Shastram. Not that the Shastram is available for manipulation. You are available for misunderstanding Shruti. Not Shruti is available for being misunderstood. No. It is not that the Shruti is vulnerable to be misunderstood. It is wrong. Man is vulnerable to misunderstanding everything anyway. Jiva is vulnerable. And therefore, Bhashyam is not liberating the Shastram from its vulnerability of being misunderstood. Bhashya is helping man to get out of his vulnerability in understanding the Shruti. Bhashya is helping the Jiva to correctly understand the Shruti rather than he is trying to help the Shruti. Oh, if the Shruti needs to be helped by Bhashyakara, then the problems. Able to follow? Therefore, here Bhagavan says now, आराम से देखना पड़ेंगे सारी. Before Bhashyakara came, there were so many vrittikaras. Vrittikaras are those who had some view about everything. You know, they always do the tikas and tippanis. Supposing you are talking, somebody in between also says something. He has got something to say. He is called he's a vrittikara. And then you say, no, please let me talk. You are talking. And in between somebody, he also begins. Hey, let me finish. But in between he also talks. He has got some opinion. And then you say, all right, let me finish it. Then that person is called vrittikara. Why? Instead of listening, he keeps on doing tika and tippani. These are called vrittikaras. ऐसा भी हो सकता है, ऐसा भी हो सकता है. It's called ekadeshis. A part of it they see, and then in a nuance they mess up. They say Brahman is Advaitam. That is called, ekadesha. So ठीक है. But then really, there are it means, it has got ramifications. If Brahman is Advaitam, then the whole thing is Brahman. If it is non-dual, then everything is it. Everything doesn't have to become it. Everything doesn't have to be reduced to it. Everything doesn't have to be destroyed. Then the ramifications are enormous. So they would say Brahman is Advaitam, but then we have to handle the Dvaitam also. This is called Tika. Understand? These are called Vrittikaras. These are called, बीच में बोलने वाले. Are you able to follow? बीच में बोलने वाले. Because whenever you have a discussion, there is one or two बीच में बोलने वाले. They are called Ekadeshi Matas. Partially true, partially wrong, etc. Now, these Vrittikara Matas, we don't have separate books, like Bhartri Prapancha, etc. They were there along with the tradition. They were there even before Shankaracharya. They were there trying to mess up in the nuances. And very crucial nuances. And a mess up in a nuance would amount to the whole thing being wrong. And therefore, they are called Vrittikaras, and these Vrittikaras were there even before Shankaracharya. But then, we don't have separate books. But those matas are cited by Bhashyakara. these Vrittikara matas are cited by Bhashyakara in his Bhashya. Therefore, to find out what did the Vrittikaras think, what did the Vrittikaras think, I can't refer to their own books. I have to study Bhashya. That means only by looking into the Sampradaya, the tradition, the traditional teaching of Vedanta, the teaching of Vedanta, the right traditional, I mean only the right teaching of Vedanta, it happens to be coming down and therefore we call it tradition. Traditionalness is not a synonym of correctness, understand? Traditionality is not a synonym of correctness. Tradition means it has been coming down, boss. It has no beginning, anad. In that sense, it is traditional, but otherwise it is the approach to understanding the Shruti as given down from Guru to Sishya. That is called Sampradaya, Parampara. It is this teaching, not only it taught the Shruti, but it also referred to the mess-ups in the nuances, understand? These mess-ups in the nuances, a very crucial nuances, these mess-ups are otherwise called Vrittikara matas. Those who write something, those who say something. But we don't have separate books. I can't go to any Sanskrit, bookstall and ask for Bhartru Prapancha's book. You know, what is Bhartru Prapancha thing is mentioned only in the Sampradaya teaching. And the whole teaching along with all that goes with the teaching, the Siddhantam and the Purvapakshis, all of it is put in the Bhashya. Therefore, when you look into the Bhashya, then you have really understand really this is how it has been taught. And the teaching includes also the real Purvapakshis, but also the Vedantis who swear by Vedanta and also make mess-ups. Yeah? Now, see, that he makes it clear in the next line. Bhagavat Padebhyaha, meaning before Bhagavat Pada, Shankaracharya ji ke pahle, Bhagavat Padebhyaha Prachina Taranam. Prachina Taraha means those who came before Shankara, Bhashyakara. Prachina Tara means those who came before. Tat Samakalina Namva, or his contemporaries. Samakalina Namva means or his own contemporaries. There were Vrittikaras, there were people, well, because the tradition was there, and along with the tradition, Vrittikara matas also were there, and there might have been individuals before Bhashyakara came, or there might have been individuals contemporary to Bhashyakara. They are called Prachina Taranam, or, well, Samakalinanam va. Vrittikritam. Vrittikritam means Vrittikaranam. Vrittikrit. Vrittikrit means vritti ko banane wala. Those who always said something in brief, apna bhi mat ko bataya. This is what I think. I differ in this, I differ in that, there's you go on saying something and then he says, well, I dissent. In this matter, I don't agree. Here I agree, here I don't agree. Here I agree, here I don't agree. This is what is God? These are vrittikaras. There are so many. I would like to just give them a name, an identity. Those identities, those who swore by Vedanta and made mess-ups in certain crucial nuances. Yeah. Swore by Vedanta means they swore by Shabda as a Pramana. Please understand, that's all that I mean. The swore by Vedanta does not mean the swore by Siddhanta. The swore by Vedanta means they swore by Shabda as a Pramana. Otherwise you would become a Avaidika. If you become Avaidika, then you have to say whatever you have to say based on Pratyakshadi Pramanam, not the Shabda Pramanam. वो सारे problems आ जाएंगे. So, Vrittikritam Abhiprayastu, their views. The views of those brief writers, the views of those thinkers, the views of those thinkers who also said something about Vedanta, agreeing some part, disagreeing with another part. Their abhiprayas, their views, don't have separate books. We don't have separate books for their abhiprayas. Those abhiprayas, where can you find them? Bhashya, Vartika, Anyatarastha. They are only mentioned either in Bhashya or in Vartika. Bhashya, Vartika. Anyatara, either of the two. Meanings in this, in that, in both. Bhashya, Vartaka, Anyatara means every view is mentioned either in Bhashya or in Vartika or in both. It doesn't matter. Bhashya, Vartika, Anyatarastha present in either of them. Anyatara means one of the two, either of the two. Paramarsha Matra, by recapitulating, by looking at what is, by reminding ourselves of what is mentioned in either in Bhashya or Vartika. Paramarsha Matra, only by way of the Paramarsha, meaning only by way of looking at. Paramarsha means, oh, this is what is said here, this is what is said there. This is called Paramarsha. Paramarsha Matrat, Anumeyaha, can only be inferred. We can only make an inference. We can only make an inference that there were vrittikaras, because their views are cited in Vartika and Bhashya. Otherwise, we don't have separate books written by those authors. We don't have them. Sankhya is all right. Certain things we have got schools. Sankhya school, Nyaya school, Vaiseshika school, that's a different matter. They are not really, they are the schools which don't accept Shabda Pramana. Therefore, they are really, their Pratyaksha, Anumana based schools are there, their texts are there. But those who swear by Shabda Pramana and create mess-ups, we don't have separate. एक डर भी होती है ना, if I write a book and if it happens to be wrong, it will become a problem and therefore say something and keep quiet. There's always, you always say something in a limited way. Say only that much which can give you a sense of importance for the moment, and then afterwards you go. Tat samakaleenanam va vrittikritam abhiprayastu bhashyavartikan anyatarastha paramarshamatra anumeyaha. Natu, but not. Idanim, now. Tad vrittayaha, those vrittis, as separate books, those vrittis, Kwapi upalabhyante, they are not available anywhere. Kwapi kahi bhi na upalabhyante, they are not there. They are not available. Those schools as separate schools with their followers are not available. Even the Sankhya school, how many people follow Sankhya? When you say I am following a Sankhya, you don't really follow Sankhya school. Very few. Very serious followers are only the followers of yoga asanas. That's all. Sankhya school, Purusha is different, Prakriti is different, and knowing all the nuances of the Sankhya school, who is studying Sankhya school? Therefore, even when you study in a Gurukula, Veda, if you study what we call Darshana, if you do the Adhyanam of all the Shad Darshanas, and also even if you take up Vedanta for your mastery later in a Gurukula, if you want to do your masters, then there, in order to master your Vedanta, then you have to study the other schools also, the other schools like Nyaya, Sankhya, etc. There also, what do they say? All that they say, they think Purusha and Prakriti are different. We are going to go into all the details. Therefore, these schools don't have great anuyayis, great followers. There came a man and he thought something and he put it there, and during his time there might have been some admirers, and then that's it. Every view, it bristles, it becomes little popular because that person seems to be a very, like, Rajanish, during his time, something is said and something became popular, and then that's how, and afterwards it just fizzles out. Only Sanatana Dharma, Vedanta continues, all these views just come and go. Therefore, na kwapi upalabhyante ityataha, therefore, Bhagavatpadiya bhashya vimarshanameva. Looking into the bhashyam alone, Bhagavatpadiya means bhashyakarka. Bhashya vimarshana. Vimarshana means memansa. Means adhyanam. Vimarshanameva. Tatrapi, in that matter also. In that matter means what? In the matter of finding out the vrittikaras. In the matter of finding out the vrittis. Sharanam, the refuge. Bhashyam alone is the refuge. To find out the vrittikaras that always form a part of this teaching. Vrittikaras which are always cited by the teaching. So, to find out what are those vrittis, I don't know, well, because I can't read those books. I don't have those books. Therefore, even to find out those ancient views, those old views about swearing by Vedanta and having a separate view, those views, there are no separate books for them. Therefore, even to know those views, I have to study Bhashyam and Vartika. Sharanam. Tatrapi sharanam samprati now iti cha. And for this reason what? Bhashya pariseelanam has to be done. Connected to the first line. Praprathamam parishelaniyam. Bhashyam has to be first studied. Why? Because even to know exactly the dissenting views, the different views. I am not talking about the different views of the Pratyaksha based school. They are not a threat. They are not a threat. Sankhya Nyaya, they are nothing. The moment we say if they don't accept Shabda Pramanam, then they are out. Then we dismiss them not on the basis of Shabda Pramanam, we dismiss them on the basis of Nyaya, Tarka. A Tarkika is refuted on the basis of Tarka. That we do it, for which we have Avirodhadhyayam in Brahmasutras. Avirodhadhyaya is meant to refute the Tarkika-based schools on the basis of Tarka. We don't use anything. We don't use any Anubhava. We don't use any Shruti. He is talking, from the point of view of the Tarka, and you are quoting your Shruti. It doesn't work. This is another big problem. And we never meet. One says, I am seeing the color. Another blind man says, but then I don't hear it. Hey, I am seeing the red color. That is true, but I don't hear it. What can you do? We never meet. One is quoting Sabda Brahmana, another says, according to logic, Pratyaksha based, there is no God. Why? Because I don't see him. Etc. etc. That is Avirodha-adhyaya mein sab hota. So in Avirodha-adhyaya, we don't refute those Vrittikara matas well who swear by Shabda Pramanam and mess up. Those who accept Shabda Pramanam and then make mistakes in some crucial nuances, those Vrittikara matas are not refuted in Avirodha-adhyaya. Because Avirodha-adhyaya is meant only to refute. Meaning even logic is not opposed to Vedanta. It's called Avirodha. Koi virodh nahi. Your Anumana has to fall in line with the Shruti Pramanam. Subject matter of the Shruti may not be the subject matter of the Tarka. What is available for the Tarka is not restated by Shruti. The subject matter that is being dealt by the Shruti is something. It is not an object of the senses, it is not an object of the inference. But yet, the Nyaya cannot oppose. Right logic can oppose wrong logic pertaining to an object. Whereas logic cannot support or Pratyaksha-based logic cannot support what is said by the Shruti, nor can it oppose. But Anubhava-based Tarka definitely supports. Anubhava-based Tarka, and therefore there we are going to divide the Tarka. In Avirodha-adhyaya, and in many places in the Bhashya, we divide Tarka. Tarka based on Pratyaksha Pramanam. Tarka based on Anubhava. And therefore now we have completed the second sentence. What does it mean? Praprathamam Bhashyam Parishilaniyam. Why? Why? Because by looking at, see the part is this, by looking at the Vedanta Shruti, by looking at the Sutras, by looking at the Bhagavad Gita Smriti, you can only know that some Brahman is the topic. But what is the Prakriya? You can't know without the Sampradayam. Without the Sampradayam. And that Sampradayam, really we don't know which is, because everybody says mine is the right Sampradayam. Therefore, ultimately, Bhashyam that has been, the entire Sampradayam has been written down, and that Bhashyam alone is Sharanam, and that has to be studied. As regards the Vrittikaras, the various different views about Vedanta, the various different views about the topic, those different views also we can't know really because they don't have separate books, and they're also cited by the Sampradayam. The ancient views are also cited with the Sampradayam. And when Bhashyagara wrote the Siddhanta, he also mentioned those different views. And therefore, even to know the Vrittikara matas, we have to study Bhashyam is the only Sharanam now. Shruti and Bhashyam. idamidanim chintyate kim bhagavatpada upasthapita prakriya kim tat swapajna uta sampradaya agata iti. Idam idanim chintyate. Well, idam, this is the following. This means the following. Idanim, now, chintyate is analyzed, is discussed. Begin with, this is what we have to discuss. Idam idanim chintyate. ये बात सबसे पहले सोचा जाता है. चिंत्यते, यक चिंत्यते, चिंतन किया जाता है. What is that? Kim Bhagavatpada upasthapita prakriya. The prakriya that has been shown in his bhashya. That upasthapita underline, don't write down put up. Upasthapita has been presented. The prakriya that is presented by bhashya, in his bhashya, bhashyakara in his bhashya, Bhagavatpada upasthapita prakriya. The prakriya that has been presented by bhashyakara in his bhashya, kim tat swapajna. Is it a figment of his imagination? Swapajna, swa-upajna. Meaning what? Imagined by himself. Upajnana means in a kind of a uhapo, imagination. Kim kya tad vaha prakriya swapajna? Is it something which is a figment of his own imagination, his own creation? Is it triggered by him? Is it initiated by him? We can underline it. Is it initiated by him? Is the prakriya presented by Bhashyakara in his bhashya, has it been? Was it started by him? Uta, or sampradaya agata. Is it something that he received from the sampradaya? Is the prakriya that has been presented by Bhashyakara in bhashya, is it his own creation or received? Clear? Iti chintyate. Ye baat pale a student must become clear about. Not that Shankaracharya is great Acharya, simply saying Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is great because Kerala ke hai, hum bhi Kerala ke hain. It doesn't work. It works for a few days. It fizzles out. The most beautiful thing is falsities simply fizzle. False notions cannot sustain man. They simply fizzle out. If they don't fizzle out, the individual who holds them would fizzle out. He would simply be gone. He would get nothing. There is no Purushartha Siddhi. Simple, what we call, those sentiments, emotions, can't, simple emotions. Emotions for mother and father can't be sustained. What to talk about some Nambudri coming from another corner of the country? You are born somewhere. He is born somewhere in India. How can you have notions? Emotions for another individual. You say emotions for God can't be sustained. There are many people really, when supposing something doesn't work, then you dump God. I don't believe in God. He was a pracharaka. Bhagwan ke bare mein prachar karte. And suddenly something happens and he says, now I don't believe in God. When I am doing such a great good work, why should it happen to me? Okay, did you not know that this thing can happen? You should have reconciled, resolved. You should have handled this problem before. Anything can happen. Prarabdham, Bhagavan doesn't will happiness to somebody or unhappiness to somebody. Prarabdha hai. Bhagavan why blame God for that? Anyway, idam idanim chintyate. What is chintyate? Kim bhagavat pada upasthapita prakriya kim tat sobhajnyavuta sampradaya agata iti chintyate. Yadi hi bhashyakaram upajñam evam esham tarihi vedanteshu adritam sayevam yam aho na ityatra samshayopi pradurbhavediti. This has to be thought over because it has problems. What is it? One thing is it initiated by him? Like many people say, Bhagavan Shankaracharya started sannyasa. People say. Before Shankaracharya there was no sannyasa. They just, somewhere they hear it. Bhagavan Shankaracharya, but then how did he take sannyasa? If he started sannyasa, but he received sannyasa from his guru. They say that also. He received sannyasa from his guru and afterwards he started sannyasa. Sannyasa is always, sannyasa diksha is always received. You don't take sannyasa. If you take sannyasa on your own, that is a fancy dress. I mean, if you put on sannyasa by yourself, if a Mataji puts on, what we call now, kala, then what is, she has not taken sannyasa, she has come in a fancy dress. Because the man also puts on all that, is a fancy dress. Like a person does mundan. Mundan is done only by a sannyasi, nobody else. Kesha is a very, very important thing. Kesha should not be removed. Shikha has to be kept. And who does mundanam? If somebody dies, I have mundan. My own relation comes, this is a mundanam. Why? Because during those days I should follow certain do's and don'ts, certain tapasya is there. Therefore I have to do. Like when you go to Balaji, you go in yellow, so that you can maintain brahmacharya. Yellow stands for brahmacharya. These are all symbolic. But otherwise, mundan who does? Only a sannyasi. But supposing he doesn't take sannyasi from somebody, he does mundanam, then what is it? It's a fancy. It's a fancy. All Africans do it. And therefore, how can you say Bhashyakara really triggered sannyasa, he gave sannyasa, then they will say, no, he did not start sannyasa, but then he popularized sannyasa. How many people did he give sannyasa? How many people did he give sannyasa? Only 4 people. Only 4 people. Now for that you are saying he popularized sannyasa. I say, when you are thinking, when you are talking, you should sit down and aram se bite. Not that you hear from somebody and then you say it must be. This is what we call Andha Parampara. Andha Parampara means blind leading the blind. Blind leading the blind. Goes on. Andhenaiva niyamana yatha. That is how the society goes on. Therefore, aisa kuch nahi. Therefore, sannyasa, Shruti itself says, sannyasa yoga gyate shuddha sattvaha. Sannyasa is as anadi as Shruti. Shruti is anadi. Sampradaya is anadi. Sannyasa is anadi. Okay. Yadi hi, in case, bhashyakara upajñāyeva yesha. Supposing it started by Bhashyakara. Supposing Vedanta Prakriya, which is presented by him in his Bhashya. If it is something that is presented by him, meaning initiated by him, meaning his own creation, his own theory, Tarihi, then definitely there would be a doubt. What would be the doubt? Tarihi, Vedanteshu adrita sa evayam. Is it the same as that is mentioned in the Shruti? Vedanteshu, Vedanto mein adrita. Adrita means respected, regarded, followed. जिस प्रक्रिया को वेदांत ने आदर दिया है वही प्रक्रिया को बताया है. I mean, is there a tallying between his प्रक्रिया and श्रुति प्रक्रिया? वेदांतेषु आदृता सायेवय्यम, वही है. आगो ना या कुछ और है? अगर भाष्यकार ने अपने आप लिखा है तो ये वेदांत में अंदर जो प्रक्रिया है वही है या और कुछ है? ऐसा अत्र संशयोपे डाउट प्रादुर्भवे शल टेक प्लेस इन ए स्टूडेंट्स माइंड. ये तो होगा ही. ए स्टूडेंट्स माइंड विल बी रिडल्ड विथ द डाउट. एम आई स्टडीइंग समथिंग initiated by an individual called Shankaracharya? If it is created by him, then definitely I don't know whether it tallies with Vedanta, because I can't know what the Vedanta, what is the prakriya adopted by Vedanta. It's a problem ho jayenge. And once this doubt comes, then you can't do adhyayana, then you can't be committed, then you can't be dedicated. I can't be dedicated to Bhashyam if it is true that it is his own creation, however great. Why? Because a man-made theory cannot be Shabda Pramanam. Shabda Pramanam you don't create. Like Pratyaksha Pramanam you don't create. Pratyaksha Pramanam is there. You only use Pratyaksha Praman. And it comes to, and what can man write is, he can write theories about the world which is available for Pratyaksha and Anumana. He can write theories about what he sees. He can write theories about what he can infer. But if Shruti is the Shabda Pramanam, then the subject matter of that Shabda Pramanam should be something other than what is available. It should be Jagat Karanam. Anyway, it should be something that is totally unlike. It should have no sansarga with the prapancha. It should have no sanyoga with the prapancha. It should have no samavaya with the prapancha. It should be free from all the qualities, because sansarga, samavaya, all these things. I say if noun is pratyaksha, then adjective also would be pratyaksha. If there are two things sanyoga, then you can't say in a sanyoga, one is pratyaksha vishayam, the other is they say shabda vishayam. Sanyoga itself means what? I am able to see both the objects of sanyoga. Similarly, viyoga also must mean what? Viyoga. The objects associated both must be objects of the same pramanam. The objects separated also both must be the object of the same pramanam. Similarly, sansarga, noun and adjective must be the object of the same pramanam. And similarly, karya-karana bhava involving the parinama also definitely must be of the same pramanam, pratyaksha or pratyaksha based anumana, it doesn't matter at all. Is all counted as one pramanam. But now you can't say, and therefore if Brahman is there, then Brahman should be free from sansarga with the world, sanyoga with the world, viyoga with the world, or samavaya with the world. If that is the subject matter of the Shabda Pramanam, then definitely writing about it cannot be based on Pratyaksha Anumana. And Shankaracharya is an individual. If he wrote theories, then he must have written only based on Pratyaksha Anumana, and that would be not valid about the Shabda Pramana Vishayam, the Brahman, which is the subject matter of Shabda Pramana. And therefore, definitely whatever he has presented in the Bhashyam is not his creation, it is received from Sampradayam. And if he received from the Sampradayam, then does he really make a mention? Does he go into Sampradayam? Does he talk about Sampradayam? Does he respect Sampradayam? Does he explain away how this very topic is not possible to be understood without Sampradayam? Not only should he say that, he should present the topic in such a manner that it should be impossible to understand without that approach to understand. The very talking about the truth is not possible without Adhyaropa Upavada Nyaya. Adhyaropa Upavada Nyaya means Shabda Pramana. All these things, are they there in the Bhashyam? And for that I have to do the Parishelanam of Bhashyam. यदि ही भाष्यकारोपज्ञा एव येषा तर्हि वेदान्तेषु आधृता सा एव इयम् आहोना इत्यत्र संशयोऽपि प्रादुर्भवेत् इति therefore प्रप्रथमं भाष्यं परिशीलनीयम्. Straight away connection. Therefore भाष्यं प्रप्रथमं परिशीलनीयम्. भाष्यkum one has to look at भाष्यं very closely. Okay, we'll continue it later. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnad Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Prasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Ramachandra.